can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100,000.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders like the founders of Atari, Zapier, P90X, and many more, and how they overcome big challenges in life and business. This episode is brought to you by Rise 25, which I co-founded with my business partner, John Corcoran. Rise 25's mission is, what our superpower is, really, Ross, is we help people connect their best referral partners and customers to businesses. And so we do it in three ways. We do a done-for-you media piece. Basically, we run a company's podcast. We help them launch their podcast. We run it. We distribute it across 11 different channels. Dedicated blog post goes with each episode, social media. So the person can simply show up and talk, and we do everything else. Our team has been working with podcasters since 2009. I personally credit podcasting as the single best thing I've done for my business and my life. It's allowed me to connect with amazing people like you and other founders, and making best friends, finding my business partner, just countless relationships. So I think if you don't have one, everyone should have one for sure. We also have a done-for-you lead generation service where we manually reach out. It's not paid. Manually reach out to send consistent flow of customized outreach messages to your ideal clients and referral sources. We also do done-for-you VIP events with larger conferences. We partner with software companies or larger conferences and help them bring their highest level people in the room to connect and collaborate. We've even shown up in Elvis costumes. I don't know if we'll do that one again, but I know Ross and his team, I basically see them everywhere at all the conferences. They obviously see the value of going and getting face-to-face. And it does require a lot of humans to do what we do. So we only look for and work with the right company. If you have questions or you're interested, go to support@rise25.com and email us. I'm especially excited, Ross, today. Been doing a lot of research. I've seen you guys everywhere. You are everywhere. Today we have Andrew Paquette, founder of Maropost, and he founded Maropost in 2011, so I want to hear what the landscape looked like in 2011 as an email service provider. But it quickly grew beyond the original vision, and they help simplify customer engagement for companies across the board with their technology. So we'll talk about how the kind of the evolution of the product, because it used to be email, and now they basically handle it. We'll talk about single customer view, because really that's what they allow companies to do. And they became one of the fastest growing companies in North America without ever raising funding. So we'll talk about Ross's opinion on bootstrapping versus raising money. And Maropost is trusted by companies like the Golden State Warriors, Mercedes-Benz, Livestrong, the New York Post, and even smaller teams growing like ZipBuds. And they are also working to make philanthropy more efficient. So they're going to use their superpower technology for the good, greater good of the earth, really, and they use their technology to power nonprofits. And Maropost Cares is a nonprofit focused on giving endangered species a second chance, restoring ecosystems through conservation initiatives that they have. So, Ross, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Really excited to be here.
Since it's Inspired Insider, I always ask is, one, what's been a low moment, a tough time that you had to push through? And on the flip side, what's been a really proud high moment for you? Because in this journey, oftentimes we see, from an outside, people see the good stuff, but we don't see the challenges and some of the low points. Yeah. What's been a tougher time that you had to push through?
Yeah, I think, that's a tough one. I mean, it's not a tough one that it doesn't exist. That's a tough one in that I'd say when you run into conflicts with individuals, whether it be on your team or in some form in the organization where there's a philosophical difference of opinion, it's no different than having a partner where you disagree, on a specific direction. That is probably one of the hardest aspects because there's no, if you're just on the opposite ends of one another, there's no there's not really a middle ground, right? When you reach a certain level, right? When you're in the early stages, I think people start up organizations and they bring on a partner and they're thinking, yeah, it's all going to be, rainbows and unicorns forever, champagne for all kind of thing. The reality is, once more money's involved, you get to
Yeah.
5 million, 10 million, and so on, and people change, right? They change their direction, or maybe you never were philosophically aligned, and it's just coming out now. You don't have a lot of control over that. So I'd say one of the low moments, or combination of low moments for me, was certainly, being involved in a situation like that, and having to make, a tough decision on, okay, well, how do we unwind whatever we did, or how do we change the direction of what we're doing, because we're not going to get onto the same page, and let's stop trying, you know what I mean? Because we're just not going to get there. That's tough, because again, there's a lot of things involved. You've got, your team may be involved. There's finances that may be involved. There's risk, of course, involved. There's so many different moving parts there. And I would say that was, is probably that scenario for me, and those type of scenarios are probably the most complicated of an entrepreneur, founder, executive's life, because it's intertwined with your life as well. Like it's part of your fiber and your fabric, and getting through those can be very, well, sometimes you can't, or sometimes it's easier said than done,
Right.
like many things. So that I'd say it comes along with those kind of partnerships, or those high level relationships that sometimes you're just not aligned with. That was probably, I realize it doesn't sound as bad, but
yeah, that is the toughest part. It's the people, especially when it's, with you, it's a very high value with the team building culture. So something involving, something that doesn't go smoothly with the people part is difficult. Would you go back and do anything differently, or it just is what it is type of thing? Like if you were to go back to that same situation.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it is what it is. It's hard to say, again, if I knew what I knew now, I probably would have done things differently. Yeah. I mean, I would have done things differently. It's not that I wouldn't have done it. I would have just maybe positioned things in a different way. But it's hard, because you never know what aspects, whether they be, primary, secondary, tertiary, may have come from that decision at the time, right? And I think a lot of people would be quick to discount that and say, oh, like it just didn't work out. I wish I regret it, or I wish I would have done it differently. When in reality, they're not thinking of all these other things that pin on top of it. Well, if you didn't do that, would this have happened? Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't.
Some good came out of it.
Yeah, some good did, or hopefully it did. And that's all you can really hold on to is the positive, and then again, think of the forward movement from there.
Yeah. What about on the flip side, especially proud moments?
Yeah, I mean, everything related to customers is certainly a problem. When I say everything related to, I mean, whether that be the selling of the customer, the onboarding of the customer, the support of the customer, has always been super exciting. I mean, of course, you brought up a good example early on, meeting my chief technology officer. I mean, that's certainly, among, it's not that moment was it, but that relationship and what that's sort of become, and who we are to each other.
Key.
That's certainly.
And they moved over from India to Toronto.
Yeah. Well, it's not that of course the 100% the relate. It's key, but I think for both of us, we would blindly follow the other end of the night, so to speak. And that's super rare these days. I mean, a lot of it's. I think that's an important quality to have, but it's really hard to get to that point. I mean, you don't see, I would have a hard time saying I do that to other people. I think, people would have a hard time saying that to me. So it's just a difficult thing for somebody to believe in. But because we had that so early on, and I've always had his best interest in heart, and he's always had mine, that it just kind of, got to that. So it's a very proud moment, both then and now, that two people were willing to like totally trust one another, and there was no, confusion or ambiguity or, ulterior motives or, strategies that one person was trying to play against the other. Was always just a very honest, approach, despite saying very few words to each other, as an example. You mentioned, not that we don't talk or anything, but
yeah, you mentioned customers as a proud moment. What's been a favorite in your mind customer success story? I know you guys have a bunch of, if someone goes to Maropost.com, customer page, you have a number of, really cool stories there. Which one sticks out to you?
One that's really exciting to me is a company called BioTrust. Have you heard of them before?
Yes.
Yeah. So they're really exciting to me.
They're a
because,
nutritional company, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, nutritional company. So they're, I could of course pick some of the larger ones, the Rolling Stones, New York Post, Mercedes, and so on, that everyone would know about. But they're exciting because they generate so much of their revenue through our platform. And the way that they generate it, so as in their content is more story based, as an example. So it's more like they're speaking to their customers, as an example, as opposed to, selling their customers, as an example.
I get all their emails, Ross.
Yeah. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah. So that's, I've always found that super exciting because you built a business off of, and there's a lot of these that, we have a couple customers who generate 100% of their revenue through email and marketing automation. So it's exciting to me because of that, right? Because they're so, deep into an industry that I'm so passionate about, and that has given me so much, it's given our team and company so much, that they believe, philosophically that, this is, and it is the top channel, regardless of what anybody wants to say, but that they believe that, again, without, kind of prejudice or without any kind of, differing views. And so I'm proud of that because we were, we and I were a part of that transition from, probably a $15-20 million company to, $150 million company. And, being there and working through that process with, with entrepreneurial individuals like the two founders there, was super exciting because the things that they were doing or the way that, the way they were approaching it with passion and vigor is the same way I would do it. Right. So I could never fault them. Like they would call me like they're in a panic. Something's not working, or we ran into an issue or something, we sent to the wrong customer group. They're coming at it with such, excitement again, or not excitement, it's not the word I would use, but, such vigor that I was like, yeah, if I was in your shoes, this is what I would be doing as well. And so that's pretty fun, really fun because you feel a part of that and the feeling because like, I've been there before with another vendor. Like Ross has been there with Rackspace or with Google or with Akamai or with some of the many, platforms I do, but I wasn't talking to, the CEO of those companies who built the company from scratch. And, they're like, oh, well, you've got to submit a ticket and we'll have somebody call you. And, and so every company is different, but those ones were really exciting.
Yeah, the ones that some of them you were working one-on-one with the actual founder and you saw them really build their company through that.
Exactly. Yeah. From scratch. Yeah. The other ones, like, again, the big companies, the Mercedes, like they're established. Like obviously we're making an impact with them, but the individuals that we're working with they're not directly, like personally impacted by it. Of course they're going to get, hopefully promotions and raises and so on and so forth, but they're not going to be impacting the same way of somebody going from 20 to 150.
It's not their baby, so to speak. Like
exactly.
This is their baby. Like this, we've seen this, we birthed this thing.
This has to work.
Yeah, totally.
It has to.
Yeah. Well, Ross, thank you. I appreciate your time. I know right now you're in Sweden at the time we're talking about this. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. And everyone should check out Maropost.com. It's Maropost.com. And where else should we point people towards online, Ross?
Yeah, I mean, our site is definitely the best place to find out anything about Maropost. I obviously am on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, cataloging some of my life, whether day-to-day or travel. So that's an area where I'm always excited by because I think they're, again, entrepreneurs are some of them are really out there, but some of them, most of them aren't. And it's really great for, I think, the overall communities to see what's happening with these people on a, whether it be daily or weekly, but what are they doing? Where are they going? Where are they traveling to? What conferences are they going to? That stuff's all really exciting to many people, right? Who want to be inspired to, to do the same and see what that can look like for them.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to be the first one to thank you. Everyone check out Maropost.com.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100 grand.